Before Adam was formed from the dust of the earth, before the Garden of Eden was a whisper in the divine plan, something utterly ancient, profound, and powerful already existed, and the scriptures subtly unveiled this reality in a verse often skimmed over. This isn't a story explicitly told in bold chapters, but rather a hidden truth woven into the fabric of creation itself, a truth that, once seen, reshapes our understanding of everything. Most of us begin our biblical journey with Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. It's a declaration of cosmic origin, absolute and awe-inspiring. But then, almost immediately, we encounter a perplexing statement in verse 2. The earth was without form, and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep. Now, here's where the first vital question arises. Did God create the earth in a chaotic, empty, dark state? Is that the divine method? Because other scriptures assure us that God is not the author of confusion, He creates order and beauty. He Himself declares through the prophet Isaiah that He did not create the earth to be empty, but formed it to be inhabited. This discrepancy, this sudden plunge from perfect creation to a desolate void, hints at a profound interval, a forgotten chapter before Adam ever walked among the trees. Imagine a pristine canvas, painted with cosmic light and celestial bodies, then imagine it marred, shattered, plunged into primeval darkness. What cataclysm could have wrought such devastation? The Bible, in its majestic sweep, introduces us to beings who predate humanity by an unfathomable span, the angels. These intelligent, powerful, and glorious creations witnessed the very genesis of the universe. The book of Job describes a time when the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy at creation's dawn. These sons of God are understood to be the angelic host, rejoicing at the foundational work of the cosmos. They were there, glorious and vibrant, long before any human foot touched the earth. Among these celestial beings was one of unparalleled splendor, Lucifer, the light-bearer. He was crafted in perfection, adorned with jewels, dwelling in the very presence of God, upon the holy mountain. The book of Ezekiel paints a breathtaking portrait of his original state, speaking of him as the anointed cherub that covereth, walking up and down in the midst of the stones of fire. This isn't just poetry, it describes an existence of immense privilege and power, a preeminent being in a pre-human world. He wasn't merely an angel, he was a guardian, a figure of authority in a created realm whose glory far surpassed anything Adam would initially experience. But perfection, even divine perfection, demands choice. And Lucifer, in the very core of his being, harbored a forbidden ambition. I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God, he declared in Isaiah's ancient prophecy. This wasn't just a thought, it was a cosmic rebellion, an audacious challenge to the Creator himself. This grand, celestial drama, with its prideful protagonist and its devastating consequences, unfolds not in Adam's time, but in a prior age, a time when the universe, perhaps even our very planet, was already populated by divine intelligences. It's a profound conflict, one that irrevocably altered not just heaven, but, as we shall see, earth itself. This rebellion wasn't a solitary act. Lucifer, now Satan, drew a multitude of angels with him, a third of the celestial host. Their fall was not merely a spiritual event, it carried tangible repercussions. The concept that their rebellion and subsequent judgment could have been the very force that plunged the initial, perfect creation into the, without form, and void, state of Genesis chapter 1 verse 2 is a powerful, often overlooked interpretation. It suggests that God's judgment, poured out on this pre-Adamic, angelic world, reduced it to desolation, a wasteland awaiting its renewal. It becomes a story of an earth that became void, not one that was created void. Consider the descriptions in Isaiah chapter 14 and Ezekiel chapter 28, passages often seen as double prophecies, speaking both of human kings and, more deeply, of the spiritual power behind them, Satan himself. Ezekiel describes Lucifer in an Eden-like setting, adorned with precious stones, before sin was found in him. This cannot be Adam's Eden. It predates Adam, describing a perfect, glorious state of earth inhabited by celestial beings before the ruin. What kind of world was this? What kind of existence did these angels experience on an earth that, before the fall, was perhaps a jewel in the crown of God's initial creation? The earth's state in Genesis chapter 1 verse 2, without form and void, can be translated from the Hebrew as, became waste and desolate. This subtle linguistic nuance is crucial. It points not to an original creation in chaos, but to a pristine world that suffered catastrophe. Think of a house that was once beautiful, now reduced to rubble. The rubble wasn't its original form, it became rubble. This cataclysm, this judgment, would have been directly tied to the audacious rebellion of Lucifer and his followers, a cosmic cleansing, a wiping away of the stain of treason from a physical realm that bore witness to their fall. So, when Genesis chapter 1 verse 3 begins with, "And God said, let there be light," it's not necessarily the asterisk first light, but the return of light to a darkened, desolate world. It's a restoration, a rebuilding, a preparation of a stage for a new act in the divine drama, the creation of humanity. The 6 days of creation, therefore, aren't necessarily forming something from absolute nothingness, but reshaping, ordering, and repopulating a world that had fallen into ruin. It's a profound act of renewal, taking the remnants of a destroyed order and transforming them into a habitable, beautiful home for Adam. And what was Adam's role in this grand scheme? If a previous order existed, populated by powerful angelic beings who fell from grace, then Adam's creation takes on an even deeper significance. He was not merely the first man, he was given dominion over this reformed earth. A dominion that had perhaps been forfeited by those who rebelled. He was given the unique capacity for a deeper, more intimate relationship with God. A relationship not based on sheer power or celestial glory, but on humble, trusting obedience. Adam was meant to govern, to steward, to tend to a world that had seen monumental conflict and divine judgment, a world now made new. Now, it's crucial to acknowledge that this interpretation, often referred to as the gap theory, is not universally accepted. The scriptures, in their wisdom, often provide layers of meaning, subtle hints rather than explicit declarations. They invite us to delve, to investigate, to piece together the divine narrative from various angles. There isn't a single, bold headline in the Bible declaring, "This existed before Adam." Instead, it's a careful weaving together of Genesis's puzzling phrases with prophetic insights into Lucifer's fall, and an understanding of God's perfect, orderly nature. It's a truth found between the lines, a deeper current beneath the surface narrative. Why does this matter to us today? Understanding a pre-Adamic creation, a catastrophic rebellion, and a subsequent judgment and restoration, paints a much larger canvas for the story of humanity. It transforms Adam's fall from an isolated event into a continuation of a cosmic conflict, one that had already seen the devastation of a once perfect world. It provides profound context for the enduring presence of evil, the spiritual warfare described in epistles, and the ultimate victory of Christ. It reveals a God of unwavering justice and boundless grace, who rebuilds from ruin, offering redemption not just to fallen humanity, but ultimately, to a fallen creation itself. The hidden verse, then, isn't just one line of scripture, but the echoes of Genesis chapter 1 verse 2 reverberating through the testimonies of Job, Isaiah, and Ezekiel. It's the implication that something came before, something glorious that fell, and something new was born from its ashes. It's the story of a God who, even in the face of cosmic treason, never abandons his creation, but meticulously restores it, always pointing toward a future where his perfect will shall reign supreme, and all things will be made new, forever. It invites us to look at the beginning not as a simple origin, but as a multi-layered saga of divine power, free will, and enduring hope.